Woof. Aw, yeah. I'm a dog. It's Tuesday, April 1st, 2014. Surprise, motherfucker! I'm not a dog. I'm Day9. And welcome to the Day9 Daily, where you learn to be a better gamer. It's episode 696, and today we're going to be watching Protoss vs. Protoss Rapid Fire games. Because Protoss, though the weakest race, is the most commonly played race in the world. So we're going to be looking at some of the gorgeous openings and sexy stunts from Rain, one of the long-standing bastions of Protoss pride, versus Zest, a sort of peppery new lad who beats all the old lads. Let me just... Now, this is healthy. Let me actually see if I can get a little closer to my microphone. Good. There's a lot of bones in my neck, apparently. Don't worry, I do self-chiropractic. I also left my razor in Los Angeles, so I'm a little bit of a furry bear. We're going to be doing this PvP analysis today. We're going to look at some very odd openings. I'm hoping to get through maybe 4 games. Might be 3, but either way, so sexy. And tomorrow we're going to be doing a Priest one-turn kill deck. We're going to have some fun. The ladder just reset. Going to be doing a little battling action there. Thursday we're going to do Zerg vs. Zerg, Sue versus Life from the other GSL Semifinals. Friday I'm going to play Psychonauts, and Fun Day Monday for next week is posted on the website. I'm going to go into the game. This was played in semifinal number 1 in the GSL. It's a best of 7. I'm going to come to the Zesty Zest cam. We're going to go back to pink and blue because I want you to have trouble seeing things. I suppose, actually, that I'll go for this color mix at the outset. So the Protoss vs. Protoss matchup has a lot of odd divergence issues in the opening that I've spent a lot of time talking about before. Come on, show me the Protoss tech tree. We obviously have to worry about things like Dark Templar as an early attack, a Blink All-In as an early attack, Robo is just a generally solid way to play, and the Stargate as a kind of an unusual tech way to play. But the big thing that we've been seeing a lot now is the Warp Gate push, the Warp Gate pressure that's been giving Protosses a lot of trouble. Traditionally, the way that Protoss players... Actually, I'll talk about old school PvP for a while. The way that many PvP builds evolved was some way in which to withstand the early gateway pressure that could potentially be happening with the big tech that was being researched. So, for instance, you would go for a really fast robo and use that to hold off the tech. Or go for a really, really fast robo to get the Observer to deal with the Dark Templar. What's other ones? You'd try to make absolutely certain that you had just enough defense before going straight for the Stargate. What we're seeing now is a little bit more of active play from Protoss players, where they will not get their tech as fast, get a little bit more of some of the units up early enough, because honestly, a Zealot and a Stalker and a Mothership Core can just kill you. As an example, watch the grand finals of IEM between SOS and Hero. It was over very, very fast. So, I mean, I just burbled on a lot about a lot of theory, but generally what we're seeing players do in a very concrete way is get Stalkers up in pretty large numbers before doing much of anything, or getting the Blink up as a defensive tool before really doing much of anything. Blink has become kind of a core, just a core maneuver that we see many Protosses do. So this map is Habitation Station, and if you know why I paused here, then you see what's unusual about this situation. Gateway at a usual time, but then an assimilator at 14. This might not look like a tremendously big deal, but we'll see how it is in a moment. What we're going to see Zest do is, instead of doing the more modern style, which is to delay some of your big tech structures, to focus on, to focus on getting up the early stalkers, to focus on pushing back everything. Instead, Zest is going to be like, dude, I'm going to get the fastest tech in the known West. First, let's take a look at what this 14 gas does to our economy. Zest goes 14 gas, 15 gas. Super early. The next most important structure is going to be the pylon, but we're not going to see that. There's actually no money for the pylon. Here is 3 dudes going into the assimilator. An instant cybernetics core. Already note a couple of things. There hasn't been any scouting from Zest. He's very low on minerals, so proxy gates are going to be a little bit of a struggle. Here he is checking around for everything terrifying. And with a sigh of relief, he realizes, indeed, I'm not being proxy gated. Great. But now we have 3 in this gas, 3 in this gas. There's already been 50 gas mined, which could have been 50 minerals. For the record, gas and minerals mine at the same rate. If you leave a probe in a geyser, it mines 40 a minute, or it mines 40 a minute at the mineral patch. So you can always in your head swap between minerals and gas for purpose of a build. So Zest, it has a very late pylon. In particular, Zest cannot afford a zealot. This is super freaking important. Because what we're going to see out of Zest is that as he's moving forward, as he's going cross-map, he's staring here to see, is there going to be a zealot? Do I see a zealot? Is there any zealot? And he's going for a Stargate immediately. An immediate frickin' Stargate, which seems weird, which seems very unusual. So again, we might ask ourselves a very important question here. We're going for Stargate before Stalker, before Mothership Core, before a Zealot. How on earth do we stay alive? I mean, never mind the long-term strategic questions, which we're going to do. How the hell does Zest stay alive right now? Well, that's what this probe is for. This probe is waltzing in to get critical information about what he sees. So, for instance, we see that these 2 assimilators are down very, very early. We see over 100 mined from each, and we also see over 100 mined from each of these. Rain probably also went for a very, very fast 2 gas. We see 3 in each gas geyser, wonderful. Zest also, in particular, sees no zealot, and he's probably good. Zest is probably in good shape. It's probably not going to be a 4-gate. If he did see something that would indicate early 3-gate aggression, indicate, yeah, really, it's just a 3-gate and 4-gate aggression. Notice what Zest can do. Zest can easily just put down 2 gateways, chrono boost his gateways only, and not be perfect on his warp gate timing, but still have enough to buy time for his Stargate to be able to, or for his Mothership Core to have the photon overcharge, and he'll have 4 production structures, a Stargate and 3 warp gates. He's going to be fine. You know, I realize I've skipped over a pretty dumb and important thing. In this matchup, what does a Protoss player want in the mid game? Generally, a robo set of units. A lot of Immortals, or a lot of Colossus, or some mixture of the 2. It's the robo units that you really want. You don't want to be heavy on Zealots in that period of time because they just get smoked so hard by Blink Stalkers, you know, if you don't have charge. They get smoked hard by Colossus, even if you do have charge. You want the robo units, the Immortals to kill enemy Stalkers, the Colossus to kill enemy Zealots, Archons to kill enemy Zealots. But the robo is really the big thing. So I think that a lot of problems that people have had with going for a Stargate in general in the matchup is, when the hell do you get that robo? This extremely early Stargate will help justify a later robo, as we'll see. And in the off chance that we, you know, scout a fast Twilight Council, we can just build a robotics facility right now, and it's not a big deal at all. In other words, this scout with this ultra-fast Stargate makes it more than okay to skip this Zealot. Something sort of awesome that I want to note. from the Rain side of things, Rain did the same opening. And as comparison, see this assimilator, 21 out of 30. See this assimilator, 25 out of 30. They're both started at almost exactly the same time. And you heard me say the big problem with this is that you don't have enough for this pylon. Obviously, we see Rain building a pylon, but then look at the gateway timing. When is the earliest available moment that we can build this cybernetics core? Well, this cybernetics core is already quite a ways ahead. I actually think that, did he go 12 gate? Oh my god, wait, he went for 11 gate. I'm sorry, this is literally just me being bad at my job. Guys, I'm good at my job. April Fools, this is an 11 gate. 11 gate, 14, 15 is going to eat in really hard to your money. I'd like to emphasize the other point that I made still. If you do go 13 gate, 14 gas, 15 gas, and try to get up this early pylon, you will still suffer from a slightly delayed warp gate. Or, excuse me, a slightly delayed cybernetics core. This finishes up. You don't quite have enough money to be able to start it. It's a very slight delay. Slight delays are big delays in this matchup because of the way that warp gate works. But what I want to do is come to Zest. Now, I like his build even more in this circumstance. I'm going to say everything I said with the additional statement. With an 11 gate, where you're rushing for a Stargate, it's totally okay to skip a Zealot. It's totally okay to skip some of these early defensive tenants because we get this probe scout and we see what is up. Now, most Protoss players will be doing something that doesn't involve gateway aggression. They'll be doing something like a fast Twilight Council. Maybe they'll be going for a fast expansion. They might be going for a Stargate of their own. Well, since we're getting our Stargates so early, we're always going to be ahead of our opponent's Stargates. Always, always. I mean, Jesus, in 11 gateway. This is insanity. This build would never work on other maps because of the fact that this is a two-player map. It has that bonus of also having a nice open topside. So, almost humorously, look at Zest's gas. There's like none. He has no gas. Warp gate has been researched, but in the unit count, there's no stalkers. It's literally a unitless ground opening, which is pretty dang cool. Again, if we did see our opponent going for something a little bit more aggressive, we could very easily get these gateways up. But Zest pokes in here, sees these delayed warp gates, sees a delayed Stargate, and can conclude almost immediately, yeah, this is an early expand. I mean, in all truth, Zest likely saw the fast sentry and was like, oh dude, this is almost certainly an early expand, so that's totally fine. So there's two things that I want to do right now. I want to talk about what the Phoenixes are doing in terms of how they're being microed and their activity. And then I want to talk about what's going on back at home. So again, micro and build order. I'm going to focus on the micro for a little bit right away. The thing that's awesome about Phoenixes is that they provide complete and utter map control. Just the strongest map control ever. Rain has to stay pinned back home in order to ensure that his probes don't get picked off. In particular, notice that these Phoenixes are not yet really even lifting any sentries at all. Total opportunity to. Still not doing that. I spent a really long time thinking about why on earth would Zest not want to lift the sentries up. But if we think about it, Zest has so little back home, the only reason that Rain would feel comfortable moving out is if all these sentries, or excuse me, all these Phoenixes had no energy. If he just starts lifting units willy-nilly, like lifting sentries, it's great. Sentries are expensive units. But it's the probes that Zest is really trying to threaten. So Zest is looking for opportunities to get in there, to pick off probes. Kind of unusual for Rain to go for this delayed Phoenix play. Most of the time what Rain's actually trying to do is to go for delayed Oracle. But again, I want to note this movement. There's a lot of movement at the front, not as much at the back. There's a lot of waiting for Photon Overcharge to go down. And I think that, by and large, Rain is playing very well in a defensive sense. Zest is continuing to control delightfully. So again, energy is being built up a lot. It's this... This, I think, when I first watched, I was like, what? Why? Just lift the damn sentry, man. Having a lot of Phoenix energy, again, accomplishes two important things. One, you can always lift probes. Therefore, it is always a threat for Rain that his probes will be lifted. And two, if at any point Rain's like, dude, I gotta make a big attack now, Zest has plenty of not wasted energy that he can use on these Phoenixes for defense. So the other thing that I wanted to cover now, right as these Phoenixes are popping out, I want to take a look back in the base of Zest, where this is the moment in time where we humorously noted that Zest has absolutely no gas units other than the Phoenix. He actually doesn't have any ground units. So what is Zest's goal right now? Upon identifying that he's likely against an early expanding player, he's just going to expand himself. Thoink. Come on, I like saying thoink. There's the thoink. Another Phoenix coming up. Why is Zest continuing to build Phoenixes? Because he sees a Stargate here. There's this very odd thing where if you start going Phoenixes and your opponent also starts going Phoenixes, generally both players are never going to stop going Phoenixes ever. Ever. They will never stop building Phoenixes. Why? Let's first discuss the idea of you start Phoenix, I start Phoenix, and then go in a different way. Going in a different way in Protoss versus Protoss, think about the time cost. If we want to build a Twilight Council that's 50 seconds, and then we want to get Blink that's, I'm just going to call it well over 100 seconds, because there's a lot of different chrono boosts you could do. Already, take 50 and add it to 100, that's... Well, I don't know what died, but something died. We're still in part 1 of daily 696. We're talking about Zest versus Rain. And the topic we were discussing when we died was, why would I stop going Phoenix? Or excuse me, why would we both keep building Phoenixes non-stop if the other person seems to be building Phoenixes? Why is there this nuclear proliferation of Phoenixes? Because again, let's pretend that I built 3 Phoenixes, stopped, and decided to go Blink Stalkers. It's about 3 minutes of time to get the Twilight Council, to get the Blink, to do a lot of chrono boosts. I mean, that's a huge amount of time in StarCraft 2. And I've already invested the money in the Stargate and the Phoenixes that pop out of the Stargate. Now, if you watch 8 Phoenixes versus 3 Phoenixes, the 3 Phoenixes die so fast, it's almost as though they didn't even exist. So, until the numbers are high enough that it's justifiable to switch away, both players kind of just have to keep building Phoenixes. It's a very simple test you can do if you're playing Protoss versus Protoss and you get stuck building Phoenixes, as does your opponent. Just keep building them, and you will start to see and feel exactly what I mean. This is the lot of complicated factors boiled down to the statement it's difficult to transition away quickly because investing in a Stargate has a big cost. So Zest, he has seen, ooh, look at this, there's a Stargate there. If for some reason Zest saw a Twilight Council indicating perhaps Blink, be very straightforward to toss down a Robo right now. In fact, I think Zest, for a moment, actually does. Yeah, perfect. Already, do some pretending with me. If, for some reason, Rain is indeed going for a Twilight Council, going for normal play, look at this wonderful little cheater move Zest gets to do. Zest, who's been building probes the whole time, has gotten to skip out on all these unnecessary warp gates. You don't really want a ton of warp gate units in the mid-game. You want the robo units in the mid-game. Zest delightfully gets to exploit all this because the Phoenixes come out so quickly that Rain is pinned. What a gorgeous move by Zest. And then he moves up here and he sees, oh wait, dude, you're chrono boosting Phoenixes yourself. Well, I'm going to win the air battle. He cancels this. Or I think he kills the probe, and then he cancels this. He cancels this. Thank you. And gets a second Stargate up. Again, kind of a little bit of a crazy move. But, I mean, what really... I mean, here is the cleanest little example. 6 versus 4. With just a little bit of an edge. One-shotted. I know it didn't have max health, but Rain's going to start falling behind in map control, not in the concrete unit numbers, not in gas or other such things, but in unit control. Relatively quickly, you'll always want to be getting the double gas at the expansion. And suddenly Zest's Phoenixes hit a critical mass where he can actually begin to lift and one-shot stalkers, while maintaining those same 2 properties we spoke of earlier. Zest is still threatening probes tremendously with this number of Phoenixes. Therefore, Rain must stay passive. And 2, Zest can always retreat home and lift for defense. Always taking every opportunity to destroy Rain's Phoenixes that he can. Because it's 7 versus 3 now. And look at this. It's 3 gates. A Desperation Twilight Council from Rain. Desperation because of how many Phoenixes have been lost, not that this is a poor move by any means. So we start to see some really nice effects from these Phoenixes dealing damage all the time. Dark Shrine, love this move, very smart move. My opponent seems to be building lots and lots of Phoenixes. Allow me to try to counter by going DTs quickly and in a hidden way. So the Robo facility from Zest is the same logic as before. We really want Robos in this game. That truly is something that we want. So we're going to skip out on the gateways and leave those for last. There's one little unfortunate consequence that Rain is... excuse me, that Zest is going to be feeling very, very soon. Excuse me, there's one big consequence that Zest is going to be feeling very, very soon, which is these Dark Templars moving in. But Zest is still in a delightful, delightful position. So I think this is about as much of the build order that I wanted to focus on heavily. Just a very elegant series of transitions that these players were doing. If you look in Zest's base, it's a very normal style, focusing on the Forge upgrades. Soon enough, there'll be a Twilight Council. Zealots and Sentries form the core defense. And what are we seeing out of Rain? Rain is almost obligated to do something with Blink Stalkers because Rain has gone from 10 Phoenixes to 1 Phoenix because, again, air control is a really big damn deal. This is the one moment in time where it's like, oh my gosh, maybe Rain is going to be able to pull off a nice win here because the DTs arrive. But Zest just stays chilling at home. Annihilates probe lines so quickly. How much has he killed? 18 probes. A big old army of Blink Stalkers steps in. I think it even snipes the Nexus. Nah, it doesn't even get to do that. And we see the more successful mid-game army for Zest winning exactly as it should. Many Stalkers in the mid-game sucks. It's just weak in this matchup. Stalkers being lifted, everything being roasted. Remember how we talked about saving the energy and not wanting to use it aggressively early on to try to pick off sentries and whatnot? That is another... and we talked about for the ability to threaten probes, but also the ability to defend. We saw that the ability to defend reigned clean and true. And hey, we see why we don't want a lot of Stalkers. The Immortals are very easy to get, very easy to shut down. It's a very simple synergy with the Phoenix play. You force them to build Stalkers, you crush them with Immortals. Just beautiful, beautiful opening. So now we're going to actually take the decided break here to step into part 2. But let's take a moment to appreciate this fantastic build from Zest. Normally, there's pressure openings that Protosses are doing in order to get their juicy tech up. A little bit of Stalker move-out pressure to get fast Blink, or to expand, or to get a delayed Robo, or to get a delayed Stargate. This is very commonplace in the matchup. So Zest goes for the ultra-fast 11-gate into core, into Stargate build. Doesn't even have gas to get units on the ground. And with a clever probe scout, sees what's up. We saw why this worked. We even saw that Zest gets to skip out on too many gateways early if his opponent's passive. Wonderful play. We got to see it play out. In part 2, we'll get to see some brilliance from Rain. A gorgeous Dark Templar-focused opening that also gets fast expand and gets the fast Robo. It sounds insane, and it is, because Rain's the man. Stay tuned! What a part 1. That was good.